come here tonight to talk about it. Our guests are from writer Judy Morris, Mr. Norm Rogers, Mr. George Morgan, and these fine citizens are devoting themselves to building this organization, to making the Christmas season a joy and a pleasure for those people who live out near lighthouses. And there are quite a few more than you may guess. And we'll start off with George telling us about what kind of a person goes live out in a lighthouse.
Quite often today, most of them are Coast Guard personnel. They're used for housing for the Coast Guard families. Some of them are now museums, but they also have to have people living at them at all times, just for the security of the property. They, in Massachusetts alone, there's 57 lighthouses.
Do people live inside lighthouses, or they live on cottages nearby, or how's
Most of them have homes that are adjacent to the light.
Adjacent to the lighthouse.
Adjacent to the light. The last few lighthouses that the keepers actually lived in were, well, two local ones here would be the Graves Light, that they actually lived in the inside the lighthouse, and Minot's Light for years they lived inside the. But those now have been automated, and there's nobody out there. That was pretty tough duty.
Why would people live out there?
Why would people live out there?
Yeah.
Well, they were part of the lighthouse. Either they were part of the lighthouse service, or when the lighthouse service merged with the U.S. Coast Guard, it was their duty. It was their duty station at times. Now people live at them because they enjoy the simplicity and the beauty of the environment.
So these people, a lot of them are doing a national security role in being there?
Yeah, national security role would be one way of putting it, plus they're also helping to keep the property clean and safe and protected against the elements and against people that would harm it, which is a very, very important function today.
Right, these are accessible. Anyone on a boat can just land on one of these islands.
That's true, and there's quite a few of them are what they call, they're on shore, they're on headlands, at the edge of the rivers and at the entrances of the harbors, and they're accessible by roads too.
And so, now what made you decide to get involved in helping these people?
Well, the program really originated back in 1929 when a pilot named Bill Winkapaw was returning home from a flight up around the northern edges of Penobscot Bay. He was flying in a big old wooden float plane, and a northeaster blew in. And before he knew it, he was flying in a whiteout. He had really lost his bearings and was being driven out to sea by the winds. And he was really concerned that he wasn't going to make it. The plane kept getting heavier and heavier with the ice on it. He kept getting lower and lower, and the fuel was being consumed faster. And he kept dropping down lower and lower and lower to see if he could pick up some type of a landmark or something. He thought he was still over land when he saw a light. And he backed around the light 2 or 3 times. When he got close enough, he realized he was at the Dice Head Lighthouse in Castine, Maine. And using that as a benchmark, and he was able to set his course through 6 other lighthouses to get into the Rockland Harbor and make a safe landing. And he actually had to land the plane in the water, in the storm, and drive it up the ramp. And when he got to the head of the ramp, the plane ran out of fuel. So that's how close he came to.
Very close call, yes.
It was a very close call.
Yeah.
And Bill realized that if those people that were living at those lighthouses weren't out there attending to their duties and keeping those lights shining brightly, he would have never made it. He would have just been another statistic, lost.
Yeah.
So a few days later, this happened just before Christmas, a few days later, he put together some gifts for them. He reloaded his plane, and with his son, he retraced his route. And as he flew over each lighthouse, he kind of buzzed them and waved his wings at them and got their attention. And he threw out these Christmas packages, these gifts. It was his way of saying Merry Christmas and thank you. And it took off immediately. And it's been going ever since.
Well, it's nice that some people are thoughtful and repay the kindness of others, and they recognize the sacrifice that some people make for the rest of us. Anything to add to that, Judith?
Well, when I had flown with George 2 years ago, it was just so exciting, you know. Number one, never having been in a helicopter before and going on such an adventurous journey, it was truly in the spirit of Christmas, that's for sure. It would be so exciting to land at the different lighthouses and see all the kids, and they'd be so excited because, you know, this was really Santa Claus, and, you know, to get their little presents and all. It truly is a great, amazing thing to do for the holidays.
How many people, Norm, can fit in one of these helicopters?
Well, then I think most of them probably 4 passengers.
Yeah. We use 4 passengers because we need the rest of the room for cargo.
I got a lot of cargo.
So you three all go in the helicopter?
Well, I don't think.
No,
Establishing.
I've been the flying Santa down here since 1981. You know, and on a long trip to New York, there's so many lighthouses and so many kids to see that I bring an assistant with me or a helper. So we bring an elf, and each year we offer the job as an elf out to somebody, and of course they snap it right up. Our elf this year is going to be Hull's own Betty Ann O'Connor.
Very good.
It's going to come. Last year it was a lieutenant in the Coast Guard. The year before it was Judy, and the year before that it was one of our sponsors, the general manager of the La Terrain Coffee Company. She flew with us.
So tell us where about some of these lighthouses are located.
Well, we do 6 states. We go from as far north as Bass Harbor, Maine, to Northport, Long Island.
Okay, so is this one continuous trip or just
No, it takes us 3 days to do this.
3 days to do it?
3 days. We do what we call the New York trip, and 1 day. We leave Norwood and fly down to Connecticut. Do 2 lights there, then go over to Long Island, to Northport, and fly up to Montauk, and then we come back over into Rhode Island and do 4 lights coming up into the Providence Bay, and then fly over to Falmouth to Nopska, and then out to Martha's Vineyard, and over to Nantucket, and then back to the outer Cape to do the Chatham and Highland light. And that's winds up being about 11, 12-hour day.
Nothing right over right here in Hull, or?
That's then another day we will take. I will use a Coast Guard personnel because we like to keep the Coast Guard very involved in this. They will be the honorary flying Santa. That changes it each year, and they leave Norwood and they go to the Gurnet, Situate, Point Allerton, Coast Guard Station because they can't get the kids out to the light, then Boston Light, and then fly across the harbor to Eastern Point, Annisquam, and up to Plum Island. And then on the 3rd day, we drive to Portsmouth and fly out of Portsmouth, and we do the Portsmouth Light and work our way up through Maine, doing 8 other lighthouses up in Maine.
So how many presents do you need?
Well, last year we delivered 1,057 wrapped presents to the children at these various locations, and each one of them had their name on it. Plus, at each location, we bring the traditional Flying Santa box that was originally intended for the lighthouse keepers. And we still have some of the sponsors that go back to 1929 still with us today. The coffee company, La Terrain Coffee Company, Gillette's, Brady Enterprises from Weymouth. Now is the licensed packer for the Bell Seasoning. Bibles are included every year. Candies and sweets and little treats for the kids. And depending upon the station, some of these stations are very small. We might even like Goat Island, we will put the children's gifts right in this box. So wherever there was a child, we made sure they had a present.
Now, can ordinary people give presents, or are you looking for presents or cash, or?
No, what we, it's grown, it's so big and cumbersome right now that we really got to manage it well. So we have made contacts with people like Lego, and we will buy from Lego. They'll sell them to us at cost, 800 to 1,000 presents. And for the little infants and the babies, we get people that will actually make homemade things for the babies, for the infants. But in order to get this, we have to fundraise, throughout the year. Our costs are rising for about $6,000–7,000 a year now to do this.
So how many people, well, how can people contact you and reach you?
Well, our post office box is at the Friends of Flying Santa, at Post Office Box 791, right here in Hull, 02045. Our phone number is 781-925-0783. You can tune us in on the website. We have a website. It's santa@gis.net.
Santa@gis.net.
And that is...
That sounds like an email address.
Well, yeah, but you're right, it is. It's www, yeah, that was, I'm sorry, that is the email. It is www.gis.net/Santa for the website.
GIS, say it again,
gis.net/Santa.
.net/Santa. Okay, maybe our character generator guy will put it up there. And that would be an interesting, I bet there will be some good pictures of some of these remote islands up there, I hope.
Yeah, we update our website 4 times a year. We change the pictures continually. We publish newsletters 4 or 5 times a year, and those are also added to the website, changed so they're all current. And fundraising activities are also posted there.
Now, speaking of fundraising activities, tell us about the cruise.
Okay, on Father's Day, we're doing our 6th annual Father's Day Lighthouse Cruise. We have chartered for the day the motor vessel Massachusetts right here in Hingham Harbor. We tend to bring 250 people out on a cruise to view 9 of the area's most beautiful lighthouses right here in Massachusetts Bay. We have 3 great narrators on board. We have one sitting right here, Mr. Norm Rogers. Norm, by the way, is a vice president on the board of directors of the Friends of Flying Santa.
Okay.
We have Mr. Doug Bingham, who people call, quote, Mr. Lighthouse. He's like a computer. You ask him a question, he knows the answer.
Knows all about lighthouses.
And as a special treat this year, we've got Ken Black, who runs the Lighthouse Museum in Rockland, Maine.
Lighthouse Museum in Rockland,
In Rockland, Maine. Ken is a retired chief warrant officer. He had duty down here 2 or 3 times, so he knows the area well. And he's another walking encyclopedia on lighthouses.
Now, do talk show hosts and their girlfriends get free admission on these cruises?
Well, we might give them a very small discount, maybe $1, but this is a fundraiser.
That's
we
great.
do really need to raise all our funds. We are growing. We've grown very strong in 15, 16 months. We have over what we call everybody our friends. They're really not members, because we're not a member-based organization. But the mailing list is up there to about over 500 people now.
That's great. Norman, you're too quiet.
We haven't given them a chance to
Never.
talk.
What are
I
you,
haven't had a chance yet.
what are you looking forward to doing on this cruise?
Well, the thing is that I get to talk to people about lighthouses, and that's to me it's great fun. And what we do is, that the three of us will do it, and we do this on all of the cruises that we do, and we also do bus tours. We did a great bus tour down in Cape here last month. And just to go through the history of lighthouses, why they started back in year 300, somewhere in there, what each of these lighthouses that we see as we go by them, and what their history is, the things that took place there. And one of the exciting things on this one is the next to the last lighthouse that we see, I think, is when we go to Minot's Lake, which is supposedly the most dangerously located lighthouse in the country, down off of Cohasset. And you can see that, of course, from Nantasket Beach, also known as the I Love You light because of its 143 flash. And when you look at this lighthouse sitting there, made out of granite, quarried in Quincy, the first lighthouse lasted a year. It was a steel pile lighthouse that some engineer said would last forever. It lasted a year, and the guy that wanted to build the original lighthouse first finally got to build his. And we get so close to Minot's Lake that we're right on top of it. And so we get to show the people, get them to see what these lighthouses look like, or what, again, the history. There's anything here, so much history that took place in Boston Harbor and in Massachusetts Bay, and so we get to talk about, all of that. And people, it's amazing, the people I see on these cruises that are, every year, they're there. People that come from the West Coast to, I have people call me from the West Coast, when's the next lighthouse cruise? And friends that live out there. And you see a number of people that come back every year. They just
Is it
can't
too
wait.
late? Is it too late to get tickets now, or
No.
No, there are
How do you
tickets
get a-
available still.
how do you get a ticket now?
Okay. It's two ways, you can, excuse me. You can call me at 781-925-0783, and we can take reservations over the phone. Or if you want to, you can make a check out to the Friends of Flying Santa and send it to our post office, box 791, Hull, Mass. 02045. The tickets are $28 per person, and when I turned 60, I decided that was going to be a good age for seniors, so seniors are $25. We will have, you can bring a lunch with you. We have a chowder and a hot dog bar on board with cold drinks, and Schooners makes the chowder for us and donates it to us. We're offering out box lunches as a convenience this year by the Chef in the Box caterers, and they're all built around a sandwich. It could be a roast beef sandwich, a chicken salad sandwich, or a sea leg sandwich, and they all come with pasta salad, garden salad, dessert, and snacks, and those have to be pre-ordered. And those are $6 a piece.
So, and I presume these will all leave from Hingham Harbor.
Yes, you
At
can
what
drive
time?
right up to into Ewarts Cove, right at the commuter boat dock. There's plenty of free parking up there. It's secure parking. They have a personnel to watch over the cars. for the
Right,
day.
that's, we take the commuter boat from, and that's a big, spacious, comfortable, nice boat.
It's the
Very
best boat.
pleasant boat.
To me, it's the best boat on the East Coast for lighthouse viewing. I have been on quite a few lighthouse cruises. I get invited on them. It's courtesies, and maybe they want me to do a little speaking and helps them sell tickets. And I like to do that when I have the time and I'm available. But the Massachusetts, to me, is the best boat right on the East Coast. Clean, neat, great crew.
Way it's set up.
I have to say, it is a pleasure to commute on. Anything you'd care to add?
It leaves at noontime on Father's Day out of Hewitt's Cove,
Yeah,
right,
and
George?
we're back
Yeah.
at 5.
At 5.
It's a great family outing for that
Yeah.
It
day.
is.
Yeah.
We were talking about the history a little bit of the Flying Santa program. Edward Rowe Snow did it. How many years, George, did he do it?
44 years.
44 years, and everybody knows Edward Rowe Snow. He's a
Absolutely.
great historian of the New England coast, et cetera.
And the man that saved the harbor for everybody.
Yes, he sure did. And I happen to know him very well, and he was a great person to work with. But he really kept this program going until 1981 or somewhere in there.
1979 was the last year he was able to fly. He took ill in 80, And that's when the museum had stepped in that year to see if they could be an assistance. Because they really expected Edward to recover. And he took a turn for the worst in February the following year, and he passed. And that's when I became involved with it. And little did I think that, you know, all these years later, we're still doing it, and we get better and better each year. And the town of Hulk can be kind of proud of how we've kept this heritage here. We're known nationwide, almost worldwide right now in different places.
Town of Hull is #1. Yeah. Norm, you said how did you learn so much about lighthouses?
Well, 20 years in the Coast Guard had a lot to do with it, but I go back growing up in Cape Cod summers. But my mother's family were lighthouse keepers at Cape Cod. And that's where the interest first started, and I would say that's the reason I joined the Coast Guard, probably, instead of any other branch of the
There's
service.
your lighthouse right up there, the second
Cape
one
Cod
from
Light,
the
yeah.
right.
Where's
Highland
that?
Light, actually.
Where's that?
That's located in North Truro. That's the lighthouse they just moved 452 feet.
Second most beautiful town in the world is North Truro.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Spent a lot of
great
time.
spot.
Yeah.
So that's where my interest started as a child, and then, being in the Coast Guard for 20 years, and I had command of 2 light ships while I was in the Coast Guard. But going to sea, and people ask me today, do we need lighthouses? We have this global positioning system, the satellite thing and everything, and I'll say to them, well, it's nice to look out and see something that hasn't moved, and a few weeks ago when I looked at my pager and it said out of area, and then the next thing I knew that the satellite had moved or something. So the lighthouses are there, they're on a chart, and they don't move like a satellite can possibly
Very
move.
important.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they teach you at the navigation class in Hingham High. They tell you need fixed objects to plot your course.
Going back to when the Royal Majesty ran aground off in Nantucket a few years ago, and Captain Barney Turlow of the Coast Guard group down in Providence, Rhode Island, was doing the investigation, and his comment after it was all over, no matter what stuff you have, every once in a while you have to look out the window. And the lighthouses are there, and again, we know they're there, and they're still very important, even with all the fancy stuff that they have today.
How did you studied history of them? How did these first ones in the year 300 operate? Were they on bonfires or candles?
Fires, wood. The big thing in our lighthouses over the years was whale oil. That's what they would, originally they'd go up like on Beacon Road area or up on Oliphant Hill, and they'd light a bucket of whale oil, and that's what they used. That was the original ones. And then the lighthouses were all oil, and they were known as the wickies, the people that took care of them, because they have to go up every day when they extinguish the light, and they'd have to trim the wick so it would, it would operate properly and illuminate properly at night. And so it was oil, and then because electricity came along, then they started using. But whale oil, that was one of the big things. Originally, the oil lamps were whale oil lamps. Yeah.
And now they're electrically operated, I'm sure. Well, dial 925-0783 and reserve your seat on this cruise now, because it's going to be quite an event. I can guarantee you that. You're going to have a great time. These folks know about lighthouses. They're going to take you on a beautiful boat, spacious, comfortable boat with a nice meal and available, and you'll have a great Father's Day, all of you. So I recommend it and I endorse it.
Can I suggest that they do that sooner rather than later, because we always sell this out.
Okay, you've heard it here. Buy your tickets now. Thank you very much, and see you soon.